Hey, have you ever wondered what the future holds for planet Earth? As we look ahead, the fate of our planet becomes increasingly uncertain. In this video, we'll take a journey into the distant future and explore what lies ahead for Earth. First, let's talk about the next 100 million years. The Earth's magnetic field and rotational speed will gradually change. This is caused by a number of factors, including the changes in the Earth's own internal processes and gravitational influence of other celestial bodies. It is important to note that any changes to the Earth's magnetic field or rotational speed are likely to occur gradually over long periods of time. This would give living organisms time to adapt to the changes, although some species may be more affected than others. Now, let's fast forward a bit to 1 billion years from now. The Sun will become about 10% brighter than it is today. The Sun is gradually burning through the hydrogen fuel in its core. As the hydrogen is used up, the core will shrink and heat up, causing the outer layers of the Sun to expand. This expansion will cause the Sun's brightness to increase, making it brighter than before. The Earth's surface will become hotter and drier, resulting in the loss of some oceans and the extinction of some species. Moving on, in 3 billion years from now, the continuing increase in the Sun's brightness will cause the Earth to become even hotter, potentially leading to the complete evaporation of the oceans. The land will become arid and barren, making it impossible for plants to survive. Without plant life, the entire food chain would collapse, and it would be difficult for any form of life to persist. And finally, in around 4 billion years, the Sun will run out of hydrogen fuel in its core and begin to expand, eventually becoming a red giant. During this phase, the Sun will grow larger and hotter, and it will likely engulf Mercury, Venus, and possibly even Earth. This process will last for millions of years. The intense heat and radiation would make it impossible for any life to survive. After the Sun becomes a red giant, it will shed its outer layers and collapse down to a white dwarf over several billion years. During this time, the Sun will gradually cool down and become less bright. The remaining planets in the solar system will continue to orbit the Sun, but the environment will be drastically different from what we know today. In around 7.9 billion years, if the Earth still exists, it will be in a position where it could potentially be hit by a nearby supernova. A supernova is a powerful explosion that occurs when a star has exhausted its fuel, and its core collapses under the force of gravity. This explosion is so bright that it can briefly outshine entire galaxies, and release more energy than our Sun will emit in its entire lifetime. This impact could have devastating effects not only to Earth, but all whole solar system that we are living. As the time continue to move on. Ultimately, over the course of hundreds of billions or trillions of years, the universe will reach a state of maximum entropy, known as the heat death. Heat death is a concept where the universe continues to expand forever, and eventually all matter reaches a final uniform state. It's like when you leave a hot cup of coffee in a cold room. The coffee eventually cools down and reaches the same temperature as the surrounding air. Heat death is similar, but on a much larger scale. In the universe, there are many different forms of energy, including heat, light, and motion. Over time, energy tends to become more spread out, just like the coffee cooling down. Eventually, all of the energy in the universe will be evenly distributed, and everything will be at the same temperature. During this stage, there will be no more sun or shining star. All the energy has been spread out. The rest of planets will gradually lose heat and freeze over completely. Some planets may become barren deserts. The movement of meteors will slow down and eventually come to a stop. Even the black holes will eventually evaporate due to the continued emission of Hawking radiation. This is the time when any form of reaction has reached its ultimate stage. The universe will essentially be a cold, dark, and lifeless place. While this may seem like a distant future, it is important to remember that the process is already underway. The expansion of the universe is accelerating, which means the galaxies are moving further apart from each other at an increasingly faster rate. It's incredible to think about how the Earth's fate is tied to that of the universe itself. Even though our planet may exist for billions of years, it will experience profound transformations as the Sun evolves and the universe expands. Thank you for joining us on this journey exploring the fate of Earth, or perhaps we can call it the fate of the universe.